Welcome. Okay, we did about 20 minutes and we weren't live. We got people in the comments there. I'm not going to redo everything. It wasn't meant to happen. The video we watched about the women's cell phones, not going to watch that again. I don't fucking care, man. Feels awkward saying welcome again, but we got somebody watching this time, so that's
Feel free to take me off the camera there. I'll just be listening in here and chime in when I need to.
Sounds good. All right, Michael. Michael's back. Part 2. Spent a year in remand in Regina, sitting in a cell with a television set that got like 13 channels, but it was bullshit. Didn't like that shit. Guys coming in and out all the time. Man, and prison sucks. And people, if you've never been, you don't understand how bad it is. Like, go to the SPCA and then pretend like you're a little puppy after that, you know? Because that's
except you're not allowed to bark.
Well, you can bark.
If you bark, they'll drug you.
Yeah, exactly. Drugs we were talking about. Yeah, that was a good topic too. So that the prisons have become like just a basically revolving door for drug addicts. It creates drug abusers and sends them out into the public where most likely they're going to be criminals, right? Because they're getting out now. They got a new habit they got to pay for. They have no job because they just got out of jail. So most likely they're going to steal and use violence to get it.
Yeah.
The whole court system from family, and I've said this before too, that even taking the fathers out of kids' lives, you're 3 to 4 times more likely they're going to end up in prison. Prisons are full of fatherless parents, and the women end up usually, on the streets or mental health issues for sure. Fathers play a very important role, and we just toss them out like they mean nothing anymore. I heard a good meme today, actually, and I thought it was really good, and it was about judging a woman on her ex partner. Like, where's the baby daddy? Because I do that immediately as soon as I see a good-looking girl with a kid, because there's lots of them. You see them all over the internet, all over Facebook and Instagram, right? Taking pictures. Oh, there's the mom and kid. Where's the dad? My first question, where's the dad? Because that'll tell me everything I need to know about that woman is you show me the dad. Because that's the person you were willing to have kids with and have to sleep with, okay? So if he's a fucking terrible person, crazy, fucked up, then what does that say about you, right?
Yeah.
And if he's a good guy and you're lying, then what does that say about you then, right? Either way, it doesn't say anything good. When I see a single mom with pictures with her kids, that's not I don't get a good feeling from that. I want to know where the dad is. And it's probably not a good reason where the dad is, right?
Yeah.
In my experience, the prison's full of them. When I went to jail, I sat in remand once, and there was 17 guys in my holding cell, and I said, how many guys are here because of a woman? And everybody
100%.
put up their hand. No, but there was one guy who didn't, and he was a native guy, and he was wearing long underwear with no pants on. And I said, what happened to you? And he says, I skipped out on a cab. And I said, why did you do that? And he goes, because I spent all my money on wine. And I said, for a girl? And he goes, yeah. I go, put your fucking hand up. Where's your pants? He goes, fuck. But it's true, man. And it's like a joke in jail because it's true. Because they've noticed, someone's learned, and I remember Alex Jones said this 20 years ago, but they've learned that if they can allow women to be corruptible like that, in that way where you give them they're allowed to just lie on top of lie on top of lie, and it's okay, and we protect that. That's what's destroying society right there. That right there. And the cops are behind it, the judges are behind it, the parents and the teachers and the communities are behind this, and that's the fucking problem right there. Nobody wants to. It's like, think about it, when a woman goes crazy and goes off, everybody just wants to stand the fuck back, right? Even police don't want none of that. When a guy is, somebody's got to get in there. A friend will go in there, hug him. Somebody's got to get there and stop him, right? When a woman does it, fuck him. there's two double standards, you know, and we have that presumption of maternity, they call it in court, even though that studies are showing that kids do better with single dads than they do with single moms, but there's still the whole system pushes that on the mom, right? And then now that kid has no security, completely dependent on the government now, and raised by the government as its authority. Right?
Yep. That's why they separate the fathers, because the children become vulnerable. The woman marries the government, and then the government raises the children.
Yeah,
100%.
I got another video here. It's really short. It's only 1 minute, but this is a topic that needs to get out, and nobody else really talks about.
So a lot of times in family court, a woman will separate from her husband or her baby daddy. She'll file for custody, and then they make it to court, and they're talking about how the custody is going to be awarded. And at that point, when the woman realizes she may not get that 100% custody she asked for, that's when she drops allegations. That's when she talks about his domestic abuse or his child abuse or his narcissistic abuse. So my question to the women that do that is, why did you wait until the point that you thought you were going to lose custody of your children? If a man is harming your children physically or psychologically, as a good mom, you should have brought that to the attention of authorities well before you thought you were going to lose custody.
Even better is why do the courts allow it after halfway through the custody battle? Why do you not hear the judge saying, well, you never brought this up in anything, none of your affidavits. Why all of a sudden now? Yeah.
Why is it? Because it makes money is the answer, but they're not going to say that. But why is it the common denominator with all these high conflict cases is like, in my case, 8 years we're married. 8 years. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm the best husband and everything in the world. All of a sudden, bang, like this. All of a sudden in one shot. Where was the past? Where was the police call? Or where was the record of anything but prior? None. All of a sudden, the worst person in the world, and charge after charge after charge. And there's no consequence to filing multiple charges against somebody. They won't turn around and file mischief even, you know. And but it's at minimum, it's mischief. It's criminal to sit there and attack someone's character, to go around. Like my ex told the whole community and my family that I threatened to kill my kid and her, you know, and this is damaging. And there's no evidence of that. Even everything was recorded, you know, like, because I never did. But everyone believes this. and this is enough to create that image. But it's crazy. It's crazy that what I feel let down with is the community and the school. Like, I pay my taxes. Why doesn't the school let me know, have his report card, stuff like this? Like, the community, the family, the adults. I'm mad at the adults, you know, and because my kid has been abused, and when I reached out for help, they just joined in on the abuse. You know, This is the system we got.
Yeah. And it's not recent. It's been that way. You know, I have a son who's like 27, 28 years old now. I haven't spoke to him since he was 7 years old. And I remember contacting him at 6, and he was still believing the lies his mother told him. Same thing. My ex told my son when he was like 6 years old that I was going to kidnap him and drown him.
Yeah.
And they believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been going on a full generation, and we're seeing the results of that now, right?
Because like in that video with that cell phones that we didn't see in this one, but they react emotionally. It's not logically, you know, and when they're in high stress, it's all emotional action, and they're not held accountable to any of those words because it's emotional. But those words destroy, and we would be held accountable for those words, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm at the point, man, like it really bothers me. Like, and I see we're going off to war, and we're sending our kids. Nobody's warning the kids that we're making soldiers out of them right away, because our fucking standing army was 30,000, and it's half that now after COVID, after half our soldiers left. And Trudeau's out there picking a fight with hundreds of millions, man. Like,
Yes.
we don't have the resources or the fight to fucking fight this, and nobody's even warning these kids that this is what's going to happen. Right? Don't worry. Why are you teaching them math when you're going to put them on an airplane and kick them out in the fucking meat grinder? Like, why? You're fucking with these kids, and you act like I'm the bad guy or the criminal for warning them.
Well, just about every country in the world is controlled now, even Britain, except for Canada halfway, maybe 3/4, and the United States, maybe a little under half. You can imagine the result of getting rid of Canada and the US out of the mix.
Mm-hmm.
They would have no trouble just walking over the whole world and doing whatever they want. We are the last to stand up.
Their plan is to turn us into a third world country, right? And it's going as planned. It ain't much stopping it. People are so politically divided. They have no idea who the enemy is. They're not have their eye on. They're talking about the next election. They're talking about Trudeau. They're talking about what the conservatives are going to do when they get in. And I'm having fucking like Vietnam flashbacks to when I was in my 20s. The same fucking conversation, the same bullshit, and nothing changed.
Yeah, it's worse. Yeah.
So finish up with your story. You got out of jail, out of Regina.
Yeah. So I'll just get into the aspects of the court system and how it's been corrupt and kind of wielded its power unruly and just done whatever they want. So, when I was in jail, when I was first arrested, I get served with documents for contempt. So I've been charged under Section 282, which is abduction and contravention of a parenting order. And then in family court, I'm charged with contempt under the same court order. And that is what you call double jeopardy. And in Canada, it's not called double jeopardy. It's called autrefois, which is French, convict, or it's an 11H under our toilet paper Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, you have two shots at double jeopardy in Canada. So when I first got into jail, I was served with that. They picked a judge. I think I mentioned that last time, Justice Michael McGaugh, who was the first judge they picked in Saskatchewan to put on the COVID issue between family. Very arrogant, like one of the worst judges you could ever stand before. Extremely intelligent, which is more than most of them. But because of that, mixed with his arrogance, he's incredibly corrupt. And I think I explained that he took my custody away and the lawyer never said anything. He just said during our first hearing, I'm going to remove Mr. Jackson's custody indefinitely. And the lawyer, I forget his name now, Alex something, but he agreed, and I was told to shut up. So they took my custody away just like that. Then we went through a trial where I had another legal aid lawyer because the first one was told me to lie, and he wasn't prepared for the hearing, so I fired him. And then I got another lawyer called Rock DuPont. An older, supposedly experienced lawyer in Regina who said he believed in what I did. And he got up in the hearing for contempt and said, Mr. Jackson took his daughter to stop her from getting vaccinated and sat down. Didn't say a word. No argument, no nothing. He had documents. He had Paul Alexander report. He had a Dr. Byron Bridle report on the harms to children with the vaccine. He never even introduced it, talked about it. In fact, even the crooked judge said to him, wait a minute, aren't you going to argue these things? And he didn't. And so I was found guilty of contempt and sentenced to 60 days in jail. So there's how they couldn't have, that's the double jeopardy part. So because I was given a punishment, whether it had been monetary or jail time, it's considered charged, found guilty, like convicted, and sentenced. So you have a punishment. So the lawyer I had almost up till the trial started, he quit too. He filed what's called an autrefois convict. So that's AUTROIS, FROIS convict. And we went before the judge. And of course, the criminal prosecutor was useless, didn't really put up any argument other than, well, we can't let him go. We can't drop the criminal charges just because of this. And even though it's the law. So then, Melanie just put in the comments, that's what it's called right there. So even though, he's already been found guilty, we're still going to proceed. We have to, it's not right. The judge picks up the argument for the judge because the these days the Crowns can't argue. It's always the judge because they already know the outcome. So the judge, Heather McMillan Brown, my trial judge, she ruled that nope, there's no autrefois convie here. There's no double jeopardy. He has to stand trial again. So then we went through that a second time with another judge, with the same judge, and it was on the 11H of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And same thing, the judges said, no, I already answered that question. I'm not dealing with it. We're not letting him go. So even though it's black and white, you really can't be charged. It's the same basic charge. It's based on the same events, the same location, the same court documents, like the same court order that I broke. Everything's the exact same. So they can't do it twice, but they did. So then getting out of jail. So I think it was about a week before I got out. My lawyer called me and said, it was on a Friday, said, hey, guess what? If you're willing to plead guilty, they're going to let you go, time served, and everything's going to be finished.
Of course. Yeah.
And this was like first week of February or something of 2023. And I said, no, ain't going to happen. They can go bleep, bleep, bleep. I'm not guilty of anything. So they kept me in. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, they said they couldn't make my trial date, which was originally scheduled for December of 23, that it had to be moved to the spring of 24. So they said they were going to let me out. And then all of a sudden, just like that, I got released. Huh. And then the whole time I was out, I'm on bail, like I'm still on bail. It was, there was no issues or anything like that, but you know, it was just stress, right? It's always stress. You're waiting for it to happen. I was contacting my lawyer about the trial and about my defense. And I guess he just lost interest because he didn't want to do anything. Like I had 911 tapes, you know, of me calling the police. I had text messages to my ex to show I was trying to work out a deal before I even left with Sarah. He never got any of that, never went after it, never subpoenaed any records, nothing, right? So I don't know if he was involved in the fix or whatever, but conveniently a few months before the trial, he quit and said he couldn't do it. It was a timing issue. How you can do that, I don't know, but he did. So we had a hearing. They have to go before a judge to do that. He explained to the judge, it's got nothing to do with my client, Michael Jackson. I'm just not going to, things have changed. I'm not going to be able to be there. And I want to be removed from the case. The judge said, okay. 3 days later, I met with a trial coordinating judge and they accused me of firing my lawyer. And I said, I didn't fire my lawyer. I said, you're a liar. And I say that to the judge, you're a liar. You know that I didn't fire my lawyer because he was on the record saying that he quit because of timing. And she's like, oh, that's not what I heard. And then 3 days later after that, I got a letter from legal aid denying me representation ever again because I was treated my lawyer poorly. So they just kind of made it all up. So, you know, I'm sitting like 3 or 4 months before my trial, no lawyer and no way to get one. And which is exactly what they want, right? And I had contacted only one lawyer in the province was willing to take my case. He wanted $100,000, which I didn't have. I had no support. So I did it on my own. And believe it or not, I had a friend come up and act as my Mackenzie friend, which is mean he sits beside you in the court if you're unrepresented. And he can't talk or speak on your behalf, but he can take notes, talk to you, you know, about what's going on if you've made a mistake or whatever. So I had a good Mackenzie friend there, and we went through the trial. And I had the RCMP up on the stand. I showed the video of them with the assault rifle. They thought, you know, the pellet gun, that thing I told you they walked out of my house with. So I had them on the video that they broke into my house illegally without a court order. It shows them saying back and forth to each other, oh, we'll get in there. We got to do this. We got to do that. Totally corrupt. And I put them on the stand, and both of them, they just fell down because it was total lies. I had all 3 cops on the stand. I tore their stories apart. The only one I couldn't cross-examine was my ex-wife. And this is really interesting. They said that I couldn't cross-examine her because it was equivalent to a rapist cross-examining his rapee.
Yeah. And were you charged with rape? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. They told me the same thing, but they'll give you a court-appointed attorney. They'll give you a court-appointed
they had what was called an amicus curiae. So he's appointed by the court, but we have to remember he's loyal to the court, not to me. And so I wasn't allowed to tell him what questions to ask. It was totally up to him, which is crooked, right? I think he did answer or took some questions from me, but it should have been everything that I wanted to ask her. He should have asked, but that's not the way it works. But she looked like a total imbecile on the stand, because I introduced evidence that when we went through a custody trial, I asked her, I said, and this was before COVID even ever happened, and I asked her this question during our custody trial, and it must be God. You wonder when you go back, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and say, why did I even ask that? It wasn't even relevant, but I did. And I asked her, why did you refuse to vaccinate our daughter when she was born? Why did you refuse to go through the vaccine regimen that they recommend? And in her own words, and I provided the transcripts of my criminal trial, she says, well, that's because I don't believe in vaccines. She said, I believe in Sarah's immune system, that she can fight off anything needed. And I remember going through my transcripts, preparing for my criminal trial, and I was like, amen. So when she was on the stand, she got asked that, and she admitted that she said that. And she also admitted that she refused to talk to me for 9 months with regards to the COVID-19 vaccine, which was in contempt of court, because she was ordered to, you're supposed to, as parents, talk back and forth. And I thought she looked really bad on the stand. Basically they just cry, right? That's all they do. They just try to gather the emotion from the jury, right? And so anyways, she went through, I had all my friends testify. My friends who were, my two closest friends have been foster parents their whole lives, dealt with hundreds of children. And the odd time, because I live so far from Regina, I couldn't afford to pick my daughter up or drop her off. They would do it for me. And they would tell me that Sarah was instantly anxious when she got home, that she was almost fearful of going back to her mother. And they testified to that in court. And it was looking really good, like it really was. And then the judge gives the instructions to the jury. Mm-hmm. And I think I said before that under Section 282 of the Criminal Code, there's a defense. And it says, if you believe your children are going to suffer imminent harm, then you can't be found guilty of this charge. In fact, you don't even have to prove it. You just have to believe it. So the judge turns to the jury and she says, this doesn't apply to Mr. Jackson. If you believe that he took his daughter, that's all that matters, and you must find him guilty.
Holy fuck, man. Isn't that like jury tampering? Or like,
yes.
Why even have a fucking jury, man?
Yes. And the jury went out, got their free lunch, came back, and found me guilty. That quick.
But that's how it is. This is why people need to go into the courtroom and look, because people don't realize how fucking corrupt and dirty this place is. And like you said, Saskatchewan, people don't believe Saskatchewan can be corrupt. Man, it's because we have less people. Nobody gives a shit. Everybody just minds their own business type of deal. Yep. The judges and the prosecutors just do whatever the fuck they want. They're so drunk on power, man. It is insane. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. And this judge, Heather McMillan Brown, I forgot to mention too. So even though I was double jeopardy, I was being charged twice. Both hearings, we went against that. She struck it down. And then she also struck down, I had Dr. Byron Bridle, one of the leading virologists in the whole world, want to testify on my behalf. He went through a voir dire hearing so they questioned him for the whole day. And the only thing that the Crown could come up with, because again, not very smart, she said, well, how can he testify when he doesn't even inject the people? And it's like, excuse me, he makes the vaccines and trains the doctors how to inject it. Like, it's absurd. They don't have any arguments except stupidity and ignorance. So the judge ruled that out, and she said I couldn't have an expert witness.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
You're not even allowed to have it's like a kindergarten class, complete shit show. Like, it's just people dress up. They don't even barely dress up anymore, but they just get together to fuck people over, man. It's sick, and they need to be put in their fucking place. I'm getting old. I'm getting old, and I'm not going to sit here and watch. There's no future. There's no pension. There's going to be fucking war, man. And we're going to allow these people to do this to us. We're going to sit back and allow these to corrupt. So they're going to pick a fight with people over the other side of the world. So they got to come over here and clean up our mess and fix like we had to do for the fucking Nazis. You know,
Yeah.
I got a great uncle that died in France in the first fucking couple weeks. The first hill they sent him up, dead. Okay, for what? Because the Germans wouldn't clean their own fucking house. You know, and it's the same shit for us. If we don't clean up our fucking mess, the real men are gonna come over here and do it for us.
Yeah. That's odd you said that. I also had a great uncle die in the invasion. The very first, he went in to soften the landing. He was like special forces or whatever, and he died the minute he got on the beach, sort of thing. Same thing.
They used Canadians for cannon fodder because they were brave and the toughest battles. You know, they had a reputation, and we were like the whipping boys of the Commonwealth. Us in Australia, you know, go ahead, get in there.
Yeah. So then I find out now that I've been found guilty, they delay the sentencing. I thought I'd be handcuffed right there, but they didn't. So they allowed me to remain on bail, and they set the sentencing for I think it was September 21st or September something, August something. And then when we got to the hearing, the Crown did their side, and the judge kind of stopped it because I wasn't even served the Crown's arguments on the day of the hearing. So she gave me more time. So I think it was maybe 4 weeks ago, went in for my side to give my submissions for sentencing because the Crown wants me to go back to jail for another 6 months. She wants me to do the maximum probation of 3 years and the maximum community service of 200 hours or something
for kidnapping.
Abduction, not kidnapping. Yeah. And after I've already served 18 months. So what the Crown does is then they provide case law to back up their wanting me to go back to jail, right? Their reasoning. And man, if you seen the case law, you'd laugh. The case law was basically most parents taking their kids for anywhere from 4 to 20 years. And the biggest sentence was 6 years. Most of them were under 3 months. It was brutal. Like the worst was a woman who took her daughter to LA for 18 years because she was sexually assaulted as a baby and thought her husband would. That was her only reason. She got 3 months. And they want me to do this. And most importantly, if you're local, you'll know the Dawn Walker case in Saskatoon. That was in when I was in jail in 22 in January. She was a lawyer, I believe a lawyer for FSIN, you know, Federal Sovereign Indigenous Nations. She took her son, faked their death in Saskatoon, parked her shiny new Ford pickup truck sitting at the river's edge in Saskatoon. Then there's something with forged checks. I'm not sure, but she did for sure get forged passports. She crossed the border in Oregon. They found her, arrested her, and brought her back. She served 5 days in jail. That was it. Released her, and her sentence came out this year. She got a year in house, like house arrest. And she faked the death, for crying out loud. I was involved with the police trying to negotiate after a month, trying to bring my daughter back.
Because you identify as a man. And that's the problem. You shouldn't. My probation officer, I told her I was proxphere, which is I identify as a male, but on a different level and whatever. And my pronoun was, I can't remember now. Oh, Pi. You had to call me Pi. And I told her that, and she just stopped like addressing me altogether.
Yeah, I should have identified as a female clown or something. Yeah,
and she told me too. I'll tell you this. This is interesting. She said that I had to report in person and not by phone because I'm a higher risk to reoffend. And I said, why am I a higher risk to reoffend? And she says, because you're a male. Because you identified as a male. And I said, whoa. Maybe I'm not a male. Like, let me rethink this. And I said, why is that? Like, that's bias. That's fucking sexist. That's not equal before the law. And she goes, well, studies show that men that are more susceptible to reoffend. So then I looked this up on the internet, and there was a study, but it was totally a fixed study done in rural areas and all this stuff. And I called the Human Rights Commission in Saskatchewan. And I said, look, this is my probation officer is saying to me. She goes, we'll get back to you. So a couple weeks, she gets back to me, and she goes, okay, We can't sue her because she's discriminated against you for being a male, but we can sue her for mentioning the study. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, we could probably get 100,000 for her talking about the study. I'm like, this is no, like on principle. I want to be treated equal before the law because this is what the bullshit you told me when I was growing up, right? No,
yes,
you're not treated equal, but we're gonna penalize the officer for telling you why it's that way. It's completely dystopian, man.
Yes,
You
it
know?
is. It's crazy. So
I could have had her by the balls and I let her go. I hope she's watching. Could have fucked you.
Well, I hope all the ones who are involved in my case are watching too. I really do, and I hope they become fearful that they're going to be held to account for what they've done. So after that, so it was my turn to give my submissions. I basically talked about all these case laws, how nothing even compares to me. In fact, not one of the 20 cases provided by the Crown to justify me being jailed and going through all this, not one of them was a parent who was doing it for a righteous reason. It was all just somebody was mad and pissed off and wanted to steal their kid, which is not my situation, never has been, right? And they can't compare that in my situation. But you see, the government wants to put out there that if you're going to stop and protect your children from us, we're going to kill you, we're going to destroy you, because those are our children, not yours, right? That's the goal here. And anybody who stands up against it, they're going to come down on you hard. And that's what they said. Even in the hearing, they said, we need to set an example for Mr. Jackson, that the law must be followed under all circumstances. And it's not supposed to be followed. If it goes against morals, if it goes against God's law in my book, it ain't no law. And that's it. I'm sorry you feel that, butthurt or offended by that, but I'm not going to break my moral code just so I can follow your law. It's not going to happen. So, and I think all of us need to stand up and say that, right? Because it's so bad. So now we're waiting to be sentenced. I have to go back and, so I should have said, so after in my hearing that I was given my reasons for not going back to jail, I said the court has continuously kept me from my daughter for 2.5 years. I haven't seen or spoke to my daughter since they arrested me on February 23rd in 2022, 2022. And I said that if you don't consider that far greater punishment than the year I've already served in jail, then this is pure madness. Like, if you guys can't accept that as punishment that you've done to me, then it's insane. You can't even argue with these people, right? So, and then I went into my time in jail as my second paragraph. I got into like one paragraph talking about my hunger strike in jail, about them keeping my Bible from me, ripping my scriptures off the walls and screwing with my food. The judge is like, the Crown never said nothing. The judge is like, wait, object. Aren't you going to object to the Crown? Oh yeah, I was going to. Oh, sure you were. It's the judge, right? I'm literally in court against a judge. There's no Crown attorney.
It's like you're supposed to have it. The judge is supposed to be a third party, impartial.
Yes.
And the judge is sitting there working with the Crown. Hey, partner, you're supposed to be doing your job, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's not even that, because it's like it's not even a partnership. The Crown's just there to read it, because if the judge read it, it would be absurd, right? It's so bad. And so the judge, there's of course CBC's behind me, Global's behind me, the Leader Post is behind me. And so the judge is like, she has to stop it because she doesn't want that information out there, right? Of what I went through in jail. So she stops the whole thing and then orders me to go talk to the amicus about what to do. She puts everything on hold. She doesn't want me reading all this in the thing, because it's accusations and they need to be answered for, right? So I go into a room. They take a 15-minute recess. I go into the room with the amicus curiae, and he tries to talk me out of it. It's not worth it. Maybe we should just let it go. Just finish your submissions, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, fuck no. No, I'm going to tell what happened to me. I'm going to tell my story. You're not going to shut me up. So we went back in the court, and the judge is like, what's going to happen? I said, I'm going to tell my story. Okay, well, then you need to testify right now under oath. So I'm not allowed to have any evidence, not allowed to prepare nothing. So I go, but it's no problem because I know everything by my heart, right? I'm not lying. I can easily describe everything that happened. So I get up there and explain all the hardships I went through in jail, the torture and the mental torture, even some of the physical things that they did by screwing my food all the time. And then the Crown stopped and said, okay, we have to we have to call the police, and we're going to do an investigation into the jail. This could take some time. We need to adjourn this matter. And the judge says, okay, we'll cancel the rest of the hearing right now, and we'll meet on Friday. This was on a Monday or Tuesday. We'll meet on Friday to discuss where we're going. But that's, of course, in a conference call where there's no press behind us, so they can't hear, right? So we meet in the conference call, and the Crown attorneys, yeah, we're not going to do anything. It's just him making accusations. We're just going to drop it. And I was like, well, I thought you had to do this big investigation. No. We're not going to do anything. They just wanted to say that in front of the press, right? And now they want to drop it. And I said, so everything I said is going to be taken at face value for truth. No. Didn't say that. So they just want it to all hush up, right, and go away. But when I go back on October 21st to finish my submissions, I'm going to go right back into it. And I'll go back into it until they tell me I'm guilty of contempt, because I got to get the story out, because it's corrupt, right, what's going on. So then they want me to be sentenced on December 6th is my sentencing date. So, and I have found a lawyer. Pardon?
You've already served more than any past case precedent, right?
Oh, another case, it was in BC just before me. The last one that was on the appeal court was a woman who took her 2 children and went in hiding. They found her in, I think, 4 months, and they arrested her, but she didn't have the kids with her. They put her in a BC jail, and they charged her, and they held her there for 3 months until she gave up her children. Then they let her go. And that was it. I served a year in like Supermax under 21-hour lockdown, and they want me to go back.
That's
and
like
I still haven't talked to my daughter.
100%. It's just that the government needs to be in control. That the parents can't have any authority or any power over the kid. It has to be 100% the schools and like how they've been pushing the parents out of the schools. And so you're basically a number to the government. That's it. And they've destroyed the family unit, right? They're a very good job by giving women this, and men have their fucking issues too, okay? But this is a serious issue that women need to address. And as sisters and mother and daughter type deal need to address. Because what it's doing now, and what I've noticed a lot, is like I haven't dated in like barely 8 years, and I have no ambition to. And a lot of guys my age in the 40s and 50s are feeling the same, that we're just checking out. We're not playing this game no more, because there's nothing in it for us anymore. There's a whole bunch of pain and suffering and a whole bunch of loss. You lose everything. And we have to keep our word. We have to be accountable for our actions. And the dating realm, it's on par with the apocalypse. Like I was telling a friend of mine about this the other day, and I don't know, like maybe you're a little bit older than me. I don't know how much experience you have with this, but pull my hair and slap me is fucking first date talk now, and you can see the fucking red and blue lights, behind these women. And for some reason, we're attracted to that, like if you ain't gonna get handcuffs on me, I don't want to fucking play, right? It is psychotic, and women will do that. And there's lawyers who even talk about it. And in Canada, by the way, like BDSM's illegal. If your girlfriend says hit me and you hit her, you can get charged for that. Fighting, you can say let's fight, and you both agree to fight. That's different. But if one person says I want you to pull my hair, slap me, and punch me, and you do it, you can get charged years later.
Yeah.
And so what it is a power of dynamic. It's a manipulation thing. They want you to do it to them, so they got that over you because they're the ones who want it, and they projected it. As long as someone's fucking doing it, right? Because they're fucking nuts and they're psycho. Guys, young guys, be aware. Stay the fuck away, man. It's dangerous.
I think the number one battle, the number one war is basically masculinity, right? It's been that way since the 60s. And that's the goal, because men are the protectors, right? I don't care what women think or, comment that I'm chauvinist pig or whatever, but it's the truth. It's the way God designed the world to work. Women are the heart of the family, right? They provide the love to the children and the nurturing and all that sort of thing. Men provide love too, but they also provide discipline. They provide balance. They provide calmness, patience, and they provide protection. And you take the man out or put him in a dress, he no longer does any of those things, right? And then it's the easiest way to destroy the world is to take the men out. And it's been a full-blown attack.
Our side of the world, because the other side of the world's not doing that so much. I mean, you get once you get east of Europe, it gets very different. And so
men are men. Yeah.
Yeah. And those are the guys that are gearing up by the millions, like, to come and correct the bullshit that's going on here. We got to get our head out of the fucking sand and deal with this. Yeah. I'm glad you're close. We're gonna have to do something, Michael. We're gonna have to organize because I still have some friends in Regina. I've been an activist in Saskatchewan a long time.
Yeah.
And
well, I knew with what you're going through in family court, like what you're saying, and it's the same with me. Like, I'll just tell you that in January this year or last November, I got so fed up with the fact that they weren't allowing me to talk to my daughter. They're still taking me to family court once a month, basically, to explain why I can't pay child support. They even want me to pay child support for the time I was in jail. I was unemployed before that, and I'm still unemployed fighting all this. And they're still trying to get me another contempt, right? Because once you're found with one contempt charge, the second one is up to 2 years in jail. So now they have me on one. The next time I get contempt of an order or anything like that, they can sentence me to jail. So last November, I started filing documents. Hey, like, if you're going to come at me still, then I want to see my daughter and I want to see her now. There's never been an accusation in my whole entire life about my fathering. Not one, not even at our custody trial. Everything that was brought up was I was mean to my ex-wife. I was really mean. I didn't just let her do whatever she wanted. And that's just a horrible man. And I'm a Christian, and I forced that on my daughter being a Christian. So I should literally get the electric chair, right? So when I fought in November, they delayed it and screwed it around and denied it. Didn't even get to a hearing until February. I had a Justice Wildeman, Wildeman. I sat there. The person who went before me was some guy fighting his mortgage being called, and he had like 2 big garbage bags of documents, and he stood up there and argued his case for like an hour and a half, and there was no issue. They saved me to the end. Every time I go to family court, I'm the last guy because they don't want any witnesses. They don't want anybody knowing what's going on, and they know I will say my piece that I don't shut up, right? Mm-hmm. So they gave me my hearing, and as soon as I start, the judge says, just so you know, you only have 20 minutes. I said, you just gave this guy an hour and a half who's half-baked, and I have a serious issue here with lots of documents and evidence and affidavits, and you're giving me 20 minutes? And she said, yes, that's all you have. So I started arguing, and what they did, usually you'll know from family court, the judge will sometimes request a study or like a, what do they call it, where they get a specialist to talk to the daughter. Yeah, like a report sort of thing. They've never done that in my case ever. But what they did is they entered one anyways in their affidavits, just out of their own goodwill. They hired this master of PhD social worker from Regina, and she wrote this 14-page report without ever even speaking to me. And she admitted in her report she spoke to my daughter once after she was returned, and then she spoke to her like the week before she wrote this report. And she said that it's my opinion that Mr. Jackson is a pervert and he's going to be a pedophile in the future, and he should never see his daughter for the rest of her life. Never been accused of it. I mean, I've been through 8 years of court. It's never even been mentioned. And then now, all of a sudden, I'm going to be a pedophile in the future. It's just disgusting. And this lawyer, now all of a sudden she has a family lawyer named Kurt Vogel. He's one of the highest paid lawyers in Saskatchewan, and he's doing it pro bono. So I don't know how that happened, but he's doing it for free. And he's just one of those lying, greasy snakes that'll just do anything, and say anything and accuse anything. So that was in February. It's now September. The judges refused to release a decision. It's been, 7 months? You're gone.
Sorry.
There you are.
Buddy. I had a phone call and it fucked everything up. So.
Yeah. So yeah, now I've been waiting 7 months for a judge to release a decision on whether I can see or talk to my daughter again. And they still have a ban. The criminal court doesn't ban me from Regina, but family court has banned me from there. So I'm not even allowed to enter the city of Regina.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
So that's a civil court order. You can't, or it's a criminal order.
No, it's a family court order.
You can't go to Regina.
Yeah.
Or what?
They'll put me in contempt and lock me in jail again. Yeah.
Family court can put you in contempt.
Yes. Well, they did when I was in jail. That was the thing. They put me in contempt, found me guilty, and sentenced me to 60 days. They can do it. And now they can sentence me up to 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And just one more thing, and then I'm done. So I did have a second bail hearing when I was in jail. And this one was done with a lawyer. And the Crown, got up and said their spiel. It wasn't really anything. They didn't really have any reason to deny me bail. And the judge again reserved her decision, and then 2 months later released a written decision. And it said that we're not going to release him because if he's home on a bracelet, his friends will drive to Regina and kidnap his daughter, and then he'll cut his bracelet and they'll meet in somewhere near the border. We'll never see either one of them again. That's what the judge said, that the Crown didn't even mention. That was the judge's reasons for not denying me bail, or for not giving me bail. You got to laugh.
Yeah, I used to laugh about stuff like that, but then I lived it, and I seen it for myself. The most horrifying, I think, thing I ever seen in that courtroom, and I mentioned it last show or a few episodes ago, but it was a girl probably 9 years old that had to walk with her handcuffs up. Otherwise, the handcuffs would have fallen off. You couldn't handcuff her. She had to participate with the handcuffs. And she never had an address to give. Otherwise, they were going to release her. So they had to hold her in a cell. They made a criminal. Like, that is like when I woke up that this is a factory for making criminals. A courthouse, a courtroom is a factory that makes criminals. And if you're not a criminal before you go through that system, you are when you get out of it,
Yes.
And you're probably an innocent person in circumstances, and people want to carry on with their lives and pretend like, well, those are the good people and those are the bad people. I have no fucking idea because it's never happened to you yet. But I implore everybody to go sit in a fucking courtroom. Just go sit and listen for a day, because there's so much shit that it would make your hair stand on end. You don't believe the shit that goes on in those rooms, man. How corrupt these people who hold their head up in the communities, and we're taught as kids that they're good, great people, prosecutors, court workers, judges. It's like a witch's satanic fucking mass, like it is an evil place. That'll wake you up real fast if you ever thought that the good people are running the show. They're not good people, man.
And I don't think Canadians realize that in the King's Bench or Queen's Bench court system, it's actually Justin Trudeau appoints those judges. All my judges that I've been against were all appointed by Justin Trudeau.
And it's true. It is about the law. It's like we were taught a different definition of words. We're not even prepared to get into that fucking room. And they act like they're so superior, but they fuck up all the time, and those are the reason why we're in such a mess, because we entrust those people. We give them pass after pass after pass, and all they do is lie on top of lie on top of lie. Like, honest to God, what I've learned about family court system, it's useless. It's moot. Other than now you're telling me they have the ability to put you in jail. But from what I understood, whenever my ex violated the court orders, there was no consequence. Because the only thing they would just, what can you agree on? If they're not following the court order, well, what can you follow? Well, she's going to do whatever the fuck she wants. And apparently that's what we're going to do then. Okay? Because, and why are we spending all my kids' money that I could have to him for university, have a good upbringing, and why are we spending all that money on a toilet paper? Because those fucking court orders aren't worth shit, right? Unless you're mad and now they can put you in jail. That's fucked up. That's a new one for me, buddy.
Yeah.
We got 8-9 minutes left. You have a give, send, go, and you're asking for help. For what?
Yeah, I've managed to find a lawyer. I don't want to mention his name because he might disappear, but
Right.
he's an actual high level lawyer, and he does appeals. He knows the case. He's agreed to do it, but it's like $22,000. So come December 6th, when they I can't appeal till they sentence me. So come December 6th, I'm sure they'll try and lock me up for a few days, just like the rest of everybody else. But then I'll get my appeal going, and we'll take this up to the next crooked level, and then we'll go to the crooked level after that. We're not going to stop because I can't allow them to get away with what they've done. I need to see them in handcuffs, and I need to see all those judges and all those police, and I need to see them in handcuffs answering to what they've done in a court. And I won't stop until it happens.
It's great that you're at least getting the story out, and that you haven't given up, because it's rampant. It happens so much, and most people will never get on the internet to tell their story. You know, most commit suicide. Honest to God, is what happens to most people that go through this mess. They don't make it as far as you. So, Michael, it's an honor to know you. I'm very glad you made it this far, and you're still here fighting, man. And
yeah,
I wish there was more like you.
Yeah.
But I really feel too, we need to get organized together and focused on the whole system, because the whole system is it's ripe with these people. You know, they're just arrogant, and everything they learned was from a university, and they're just better than everybody else. They're above the law. The law does not fucking apply to them. Most communities, the children that are the biggest problems in the communities are sons and daughters of prosecutors, police, and judges. Those, because they see their parents get away with shit constantly with murder. And then those are the ones that'll rape and murder, and then it just gets swept under, right? Like, I don't know. It's right in front of our face if you want to look, but too many people don't want to look, and that's my issue, is that it happens because people don't want to see it, don't want to look at it for what it is, don't want to listen. You know, I'm appreciative that we had, you know, people in here tonight, and people, our last episode, you know, had a couple hundred. I know you've been at it for a while, but so there are people that do care, because we need to share the burden, you know, like the world, it's a very sad place when people got to go through it alone. But if we can team up and talk about it and go through it together, it makes it bearable, at least. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. It's funny that a lot of the social media people out there, I mean, even Christian ones and this and that, none of them will tell my story. They'd rather talk about Trump or people eating cats in Ohio. They don't want to take all the people who've under the boot and listen to them, right? It's disgusting. I mean, that's what social media should be about. It should be about making people aware of what's going on, right? Not about look at my new ring or my new car or whatever. It's just, I imagine there's a million people around the world are in way worse situations than me and you, and nobody will tell their story. And maybe part of that's because nobody wants to listen. Maybe we need to get to our neighbors and our friends and our own family and you know, smack them up the side of the head and say, listen, like, you need to start listening to what's going on here, because it's really bad. And they're not after those ones, right? They're after us, because we're the ones who speak. And so as long as you're keeping quiet, they'll leave you alone. But the minute you start to speak, they're all over you. But, you know, it only takes 5, 10, 15 of us saying the exact same story, and it can't be denied. We just need people to listen and not be angry. Like, you know, trust me, inside, my blood has boiled a long time, right? But I'm not going to let them destroy who I am and make me some angry, pissed off guy, you know, hang them, burn them, blah, blah.
Right?
Pardon?
They make you into a monster, and they wait for you to turn into it. You know?
And then nobody listens to your story, right? So if you can come out calm and loving and just telling the truth, then people hopefully will start to listen, right? That's my goal anyways. And, you know, even Twitter, they're screwing with me, you know, I don't know why, because I see people do a lot worse stuff than me. I joined Twitter like in February, and they won't let me upgrade to premium. And every time I contact premium support, they give me some bullshit AI generated response. I paid the fee, and it just loops me back all the time. It won't let me upgrade. And it's important because I need to get long messages out. And I'm restricted to only these 1-paragraph sentences, right? So even last week, I sent another one like, listen, even on my laptop, I'm trying to upgrade to premium. I've already paid you guys. I still have no premium. I need to get this done. And the response came back today from Twitter. It said, sorry, we're closing your case. We can't help you. So
I got the same thing, Michael. I got the same thing happening. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, I know. I paid the bill, you know, because I had to get my friend David to put my stuff on because I can't post that stuff, like my speech, you know. And just so everyone knows, I met Michael Jackson on our X page, How to Help Canada by Sharing Whistleblower Stories, and that's how we met. And Owen's had me on like for a long time, and he tries his hardest to get his stories out. And I thought yours was one of the important ones because we have a lot in common with where that Don came from. I have friends that work there, and it's very weird, but they won't touch my story either.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, like Owen, you're doing amazing. Like you're a fine speaker, you know, and that's what I noticed. You like, this guy's not like the rest. I got so many calls from everybody, and they sound really messed up, but he's holding himself together very well. In my case, I ran across the border with handguns, smoke grenades, survival packs, multiple rounds, drinking, doctor's notes, hands out the window because I was surrounded by the border patrol. They all gave me back the guns and sent me packing, you know. And I have a court order as well. My ex is supposed to see my son every second weekend. I've been gone for 5 years. They won't touch me. Social services. Social services
so bad to pretend like it didn't happen, eh?
Yeah. Well, no. Social services. When I got out of the mental hospital, they flew to Bella. I rented a house. I showed them a few documents. They're like, "You're good. We're never going to talk to you again." You know, and that was 5 years ago. And I sound like a crazy person to most people, but I have proof, and that's the thing is Michael has proof now. It's so one-sided. Like I had 8 legal aid lawyers I went against for my ex, and I ended up bankrupting me and going myself. And I actually got custody because I hired a private investigator. I don't think that's going to help you, Michael, but it's just,
No.
You're right about sticking together and sharing other people's stories. A lot of people won't, like hardly anyone will share my story as well. And we have so much evidence. It just, they don't want to let the cat out of the bag because who knows what's going to happen.
When do you do your show on X? When do you do that?
Thursdays at 6 BC time.
Thursdays at 6 on X, and we'll put that give, send, go in the comments for Michael Jackson. And try and help him out.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming back and doing this again. And thanks for the recommendation, Kirk. We'll have to get an update. Eh? You got October for your trials coming. We'll have you back again, Michael.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
All right, boys. Thanks. You have a good night. Have a good weekend.
You too.
The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion.